Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the EDS Hyperion, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of stars. The massive vessel, Earth's newest defense flagship, hung in high orbit above humanity's homeworld. 20 years of space exploration had taught humanity many things, but perhaps the most crucial lesson was that they were fundamentally different from the other spacefaring species they'd encountered. The holographic display before her showed the latest intelligence, a massive fleet of Drachnid warships, moving with practiced precision through the Oort cloud. They thought they were being subtle. They thought Earth's detection systems were as limited as those of other emerging civilizations. They were wrong. "Admiral, the quantum entanglement readings are off the charts," Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported, his dark fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They're using some kind of cloaking technology we haven't seen before." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Drachnids, like most galactic species, relied heavily on energy-based cloaking systems. They'd never consider that humans would develop quantum detection arrays specifically because they couldn't match the advanced cloaking technology of other species. It was this kind of lateral thinking that had kept humanity alive in a galaxy that had initially dismissed them as primitive. "How many ships, Commander?" "At least 300, ma'am. Mostly destroyer class, but I'm reading at least 20 capital ships." The bridge crew tensed. By conventional galactic warfare standards, this was an extinction-level fleet, but humanity had long since abandoned conventional thinking. "Send word to Luna Base," Sarah ordered. "Activate Protocol Prometheus." Throughout the solar system, automated factories that had been disguised as mining operations hummed to life. Humanity had learned early that they couldn't match the massive industrial capacity of species that had been spacefaring for millennia. Instead, they turned their entire solar system into a weapon. The Drachnid fleet pressed forward, confident in their superior numbers and technology. They didn't detect the swarms of microsatellites activating in their path, each one barely larger than a human hand. They didn't notice the quantum field building around their formation, created by thousands of seemingly innocent debris pieces that were actually carefully positioned field generators. "Admiral," Jackson's voice carried a note of satisfaction, "the trap is ready." Sarah thought about the countless war games they'd run, the simulations that had shown that humanity's conventional warships would never be enough. She thought about the thousands of engineers and scientists who'd worked in secret to develop weapons that no other species would think to create, because no other species had evolved on a world like Earth, where adaptation and innovation were the keys to survival. "They're reaching the critical point," Jackson reported. "Field strength at 90%. The Drachnid fleet had no way of knowing that they'd just entered the largest weapon humanity had ever built. The entire solar system itself, transformed into an intricate web of overlapping fields and automated defense systems. "Execute," Sarah commanded. Across millions of kilometers of space, thousands of quantum field generators activated simultaneously. The laws of physics that the Drachnids relied upon began to twist and warp in ways their ship systems had never been designed to handle. Their mighty engines, capable of hurling ships across light years, found themselves fighting against space itself. The first signs of panic appeared in the Drachnid formation as ships began to lose power, their energy being siphoned away by fields they couldn't detect. Their tight formation, drilled into them by millennia of traditional space combat doctrine, now worked against them as the effects cascaded from ship to ship. "Ma'am," Jackson's voice was quiet with awe. "It's working exactly as designed. Their ships are being forced to drop out of FTL. Their weapon systems are going dark." Sarah watched as the mighty invasion fleet found itself trapped and powerless, caught in humanity's web. No shots fired, no ships destroyed, just the elegant application of physics and strategy that no other species had thought to attempt. "Open a channel to their flagship," she ordered. "Let's explain to them why attacking Earth would have been a terrible mistake." As she waited for the communication link to establish, Sarah reflected on how humanity had reached this point. Other species built bigger ships, more powerful weapons, more sophisticated shields. Humanity, unable to match them in conventional arms, had instead turned their entire solar system into one giant defensive matrix. They'd learned to fight smarter, not harder. The face that appeared on the main screen was scaled and aristocratic, belonging to Drachnid Fleet Commander Vexthor. His expression showed the unique combination of fury and fear that Sarah had seen before on the faces of those who underestimated humanity. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice steady and confident. "Your fleet is currently contained within our solar system's defense grid. While we have the capability to destroy your ships, we would prefer to resolve this situation peacefully. Would you like to discuss terms?" The bridge fell silent as they waited for the response. This moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy. They had proven they could defend themselves against even the mightiest fleets, not through superior firepower, but through innovation and strategy. Commander Vexthor's scales shifted color, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "How?" he demanded. "This is impossible. Your species has barely mastered faster than light travel." "Commander," Sarah replied, allowing herself a small smile, "you're about to learn something that every species who's tried to conquer Earth has discovered. Humans are very good at doing the impossible." Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez stood in the heart of Luna Base's Central Command, his eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing the trapped Drachnid fleet. The quantum containment field shimmered like a spider's web in the visualization, each intersection point representing one of the millions of microsatellites that had taken years to position perfectly. "They're trying to adapt," he muttered, watching energy signatures fluctuate across the enemy fleet, "just like we predicted." His team of engineers worked frantically at their stations, monitoring the complex dance of fields and countermeasures that kept the vastly superior force contained. The Drachnids were attempting to synchronize their ships' energy outputs, trying to overcome the quantum interference through brute force. "Sir," called out Dr. Maya Patel, her fingers flying across her haptic interface, "they're attempting to establish a resonance pattern. If they succeed, they could disrupt the field matrix." Marcus nodded, having anticipated this. The Drachnids were renowned for their technical expertise. They hadn't become one of the galaxy's dominant forces through luck. But humanity had learned long ago that the best technology wasn't always the most advanced. Sometimes it was the most adaptable. "Initiate Protocol Hydra," he ordered. "Let's show them why copying Earth's homework isn't as easy as they think." Throughout the solar system, the quantum field generators began to shift and pulse in seemingly random patterns. What looked like chaos to the Drachnids was actually an algorithm based on Earth's weather patterns, complex, ever-changing, but following deep underlying rules that humanity had spent centuries learning to predict and adapt to. "They're losing their synchronization," Maya reported, a hint of pride in her voice. "Their attempt to match our field patterns is failing." Marcus watched as the Drachnid ship's energy signatures became erratic. Their highly standardized systems, designed for maximum efficiency, couldn't handle the unpredictable variations in the quantum field. It was like trying to march in formation through a hurricane. "Sir," Lieutenant Sarah Wong's voice cut through the tension, "we're detecting massive power surges from their capital ships. They're attempting to overload their cores." This was the moment Marcus had been waiting for. The Drachnids were following their traditional doctrine. If conventional tactics failed, overwhelm the enemy with raw power. They didn't realize they were playing directly into humanity's hands. "Activate the harvester arrays," Marcus commanded. "Full spectrum." Hidden within the debris fields that dotted the solar system, thousands of energy collection systems powered up. Based on technology reversed engineered from a dozen different alien species and combined in ways their original creators never imagined, these arrays were designed to do the impossible: capture and redirect the energy from starship cores. The Drachnid capital ships began to glow as they channeled enough power to vaporize a small moon. Their commanders likely expected this display of force to overwhelm Earth's defenses. Instead, they watched in horror as their energy output was caught and redirected, feeding back into the very containment field holding them in place. Energy conversion rate at 87%, Maya announced. The containment field is actually strengthening from their attack. Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. This was why humanity had survived and thrived in a galaxy that initially dismissed them as primitives. While other species specialized and optimized, humanity had learned to adapt and improvise. They couldn't build ships as powerful as the Drachnids, so they'd turn their enemies' power against them instead. "Sir," Sarah's voice was tense, "we're detecting communications between their ships and something at the edge of the system. Quantum signatures we haven't seen before." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. They'd known this was a possibility, that the Drachnids wouldn't come alone. The question was whether humanity's preparations would be enough to handle whatever came next. "Begin charging the Sol array," he ordered, "and get me a secure line to Admiral Chen on the Hyperion." As his team rushed to comply, Marcus studied the new quantum signatures appearing at the system's edge. They were unlike anything in their database, suggesting the Drachnids had held some technology in reserve, waiting to unveil it when their primary fleet was threatened. Sarah Chen's face appeared on his private display, her expression calm despite the situation. "You're seeing this, Marcus?" "Yes, Admiral. Something big is coming, but we've got a few surprises left ourselves." "The Sol array isn't tested at full power," she reminded him. "We don't know if the containment will hold." Marcus thought of all the simulations they'd run, all the calculations and redundancies they'd built in. "Sometimes you have to roll the dice, Admiral. That's what makes us human." The new signatures were growing stronger, approaching the edge of their defensive network. Whatever the Drachnids had in reserve, it was about to make its presence known. But humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, turning their entire solar system into one massive defensive system. Besides, Marcus added, watching the energy readings climb, "They still haven't figured out why we let them get this close to Earth in the first place." The Sol array, humanity's ultimate defense system, continued to power up, drawing energy from the sun itself. The Drachnids were about to learn that sometimes the best trap isn't the one that catches you. It's the one that makes you think you found a way to escape. Captain Yuki Tanaka watched from the bridge of the EDS Aegis as space itself seemed to tear open at the edge of the solar system. The Drachnid reinforcements had arrived, and they'd brought something that made her tactical display light up like a supernova. Multiple quantum ruptures detected, her sensor officer reported, voice steady despite the unprecedented readings. "They're deploying some kind of space-time manipulation device. The containment field is starting to destabilize." Through the main viewport, Yuki could see the massive form of what the Drachnids had brought, a construct that seemed to bend reality around it, its surface rippling with energies that defied conventional physics. This was their trump card, a weapon designed to shatter any defense by manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. "All ships, maintain position." Admiral Chen's voice came through the command channel. "This is what we prepared for. Captain Tanaka, you have tactical command of the response fleet. Execute Operation Checkmate." Yuki's hand tightened on her command chair. Her ship, along with 30 others, had been positioned specifically for this moment. The Drachnids thought they were about to turn the tide of battle. Instead, they were about to learn why studying human history should have been their first priority. "Deploy the quantum mirrors," she ordered. "Full spectrum reflection pattern." From the hulls of the human ships, panels opened to reveal surfaces that seemed to drink in light itself. These weren't conventional mirrors, but rather devices designed to reflect and redirect quantum effects. Technology that humanity had developed not for warfare, but for attempting to create stable wormholes for exploration. The Drachnid superweapon fired, its effect rippling through space like a stone thrown into a pond. But as the quantum distortion reached the human fleet, something unexpected happened. The mirrors activated, catching the effect and redirecting it, not back at the enemy, but into a complex pattern that spread throughout the solar system. "Ma'am," her tactical officer called out. The quantum wake is being channeled exactly as planned. The Sol array is absorbing the excess energy. On her display, Yuki watched as humanity's greatest gambit unfolded. The Drachnids had brought a weapon to break reality, but humans had spent centuries learning to adapt to broken systems, to turn chaos into order, to find patterns in randomness. They're preparing for another burst, the sensor officer reported. Energy readings are off the scale. Let them come, Yuki replied, her voice cold and confident. Activate the secondary arrays. Show them why humanity never relied on just one solution. Throughout the solar system, thousands of automated platforms that had appeared to be simple debris or abandoned satellites revealed their true nature. Each one was part of a vast network designed not just to defend Earth, but to turn an enemy's strength into their weakness. The Drachnid superweapon fired again, its reality-warping energies even more powerful than before. But this time, the quantum mirrors didn't just redirect the energy. They transformed it, using principles of quantum entanglement that humanity had discovered during their early, failed attempts at FTL travel. Energy conversion successful, her science officer reported with barely contained excitement. The Sol array is now at 200% capacity. Sir, we're detecting structural instabilities in the Drachnid weapon platform. Yuki allowed herself a small smile. The Drachnids had built their weapon to be the ultimate expression of their technological superiority. They never considered that a supposedly primitive species would find a way to turn it into the power source for their own defense system. Admiral Chen, she called over the secure channel. The trap is fully primed. Request permission to proceed with final phase. Granted, Captain, Chen replied. Show them why humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology, but our ability to think differently. Yuki gave the command that would demonstrate to the galaxy why underestimating humanity was a fatal mistake. Initiate Protocol Ouroboros. The energy collected by the Sol array and the transformed power from the Drachnid weapon began to flow through the quantum field network that humanity had spent decades building. But instead of being used as a weapon, it was shaped and channeled in ways that defied conventional military doctrine. Space itself began to shift and fold, not breaking as the Drachnids had intended, but reshaping itself according to humanity's design. The entire solar system was becoming something new. A vast machine that used the fundamental forces of reality not to destroy, but to create something unprecedented. Ma'am, her tactical officer's voice was filled with awe. It's working. The quantum matrices are stable. We're actually doing it. Before their eyes, humanity's ultimate defense system revealed its true purpose. They hadn't built weapons to match their enemies. They'd built something far more ambitious, something that would change the very nature of space warfare forever. The Drachnid fleet found itself not just contained, but integrated into a new kind of space-time architecture, one that humanity had designed specifically to render traditional weapons of mass destruction obsolete. Their mighty ships, their reality-warping weapon, all of it was now part of a system they couldn't fight because it didn't operate on principles they understood. Open a channel to all Drachnid vessels, Yuki commanded, knowing that this moment would echo through history. It's time to show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to destroy, but our ability to transform. High Diplomat Zorax of the Galactic Conclave stood before the emergency session of the Council, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light in patterns that betrayed his agitation. The footage playing behind him showed the impossible. The mighty Drachnid fleet, among the most powerful in known space, transformed into components of a vast human defense system. The implications of this event cannot be overstated, he began, his translator converting his harmonic speech into standard galactic common. Humanity has not merely defeated a superior force, they have fundamentally altered our understanding of what is possible in space warfare. The chamber, usually filled with the subtle movements and communications of 200 species representatives, was unnaturally still. The footage continued to play, showing the moment when the human's quantum mirror array activated, turning the Drachnid's reality-warping weapon against itself. We dismissed them as primitives. First Speaker Cthulhu clicked from her elevated position. We saw their limited fleet, their seemingly basic technology, and we assumed they were no threat. How did we fail to see this coming? Zorax shifted his crystalline structure to project contemplation, because we looked for what we knew, not for what we didn't understand. The humans didn't try to match our level of technology. They developed entirely new approaches we never considered. The chamber's holographic display shifted to show detailed scans of the human defense system. What had appeared to be debris, abandoned satellites, and mining operations was revealed as an intricate web of interconnected systems, each part simple on its own, but working together in ways that defied conventional military doctrine. They turned their entire solar system into a weapon. The Drachnid representative scales had paled to an almost white shade. No species has ever attempted something so innovative. Zorax suggested. The humans have shown us that we have become complacent in our technological superiority. While we focused on building bigger ships and more powerful weapons, they looked at space itself differently. New data streamed across the chamber's displays. Analysis of the quantum manipulation techniques the humans had employed. What had seemed like primitive attempts at FTL technology was revealed as groundwork for their revolutionary defense system. Their apparent failures in developing certain technologies weren't failures at all. Zorax continued. They were developing foundation pieces for something we couldn't comprehend because we never imagined it was possible. First Speaker Cthulhu's appendages twitched in concern. And now they possess technology that can reshape space-time itself. They could potentially strike at any system, any civilization. No, Zorax corrected. That's thinking in our terms again. The humans didn't build a weapon, they built a shield. Their entire defense system is designed to neutralize threats without destroying them. They could have annihilated the Drachnid fleet, but instead, they chose to demonstrate a better way. The chamber erupted in overlapping communications as representatives debated the implications. Some called for immediate action to contain the human threat. Others argued for alliance and cooperation. A few simply sat in stunned silence, their worldviews shattered. The humans have submitted a proposal, Zorax announced, causing immediate silence to fall. They are offering to share aspects of their defensive technology with the Conclave, under certain conditions. Conditions. The word rippled through the chamber in various forms. They require that it be used only for defense, never aggression. They want oversight of its implementation. And most importantly, they want reform of the Conclave's military intervention policies. First Speaker Cthulhu's color shifted to deep indigo, a sign of deep thought in her species. They seek to change not just how we fight, but why we fight. Precisely, Zorax confirmed. The humans have shown us that true power lies not in destruction, but in transformation. They don't want to dominate the galaxy. They want to change how we think about dominance itself. The chamber's atmospheric processors struggled to keep up with the increased respiration and agitation of 200 species trying to process this paradigm shift. The footage continued to play, showing the moment when the human defense system had reached its full activation, not destroying the Drachnid fleet, but incorporating it into something new. We have a choice to make, Zorax concluded. We can continue on our current path, building ever more powerful weapons, fighting ever more devastating wars. Or we can learn from humanity's example and find a new way forward. They've shown us that being technologically advanced doesn't always mean being truly innovative. The first speaker's voice cut through the growing debate. And what if we refuse their offer? What if we decide they are too dangerous to be allowed this level of power? Zorax's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been amusement. With respect, first speaker, I don't believe we have the capability to make that choice anymore. The humans have already proven they can defeat our most powerful weapons. They're not asking our permission. They're offering us a chance to evolve. The observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station hung in space between Earth and Luna, its crystalline windows offering a perfect view of humanity's homeworld. Admiral Sarah Chen stood beside Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez and Captain Yuki Tanaka, watching as ships from a dozen different species maneuvered through the upgraded solar defense grid. 2 years ago, they came to destroy us, Sarah mused, observing a Drachnid diplomatic vessel passing through one of the quantum gates that now regulated travel through the solar system. Now they're here to learn from us. Marcus nodded, his hands clasped behind his back. Turns out the best defense isn't a bigger gun, it's changing the rules of the game entirely. The station itself was a testament to that philosophy. Built using a combination of human innovation and alien technology, it served as both a defensive command center and a galactic research hub. Scientists from across known space came here to study and contribute to the evolution of what they now called adaptive defense theory. Administrator Chen, a melodic voice called out. Sarah turned to see High Diplomat Zorax approaching, his crystalline form shimmering with what she had learned to recognize as excitement. The latest test results from the Boundary Defense Network are remarkable. The quantum field harmonics are stabilizing faster than our models predicted. Sarah smiled, remembering how far they'd come from those tense moments when the Drachnid fleet first appeared in their system. That's because you're still thinking in linear terms, Zorax. Sometimes the best path forward isn't the most obvious one. Through the window, they could see the massive form of the former Drachnid superweapon, now reconstructed and repurposed as the central node of Earth's new defensive network. What had been designed to tear reality apart now helped maintain the delicate quantum fields that protected not just Earth, but any world that adopted the new defense protocols. The Conclave's military reduction treaty goes into full effect next month, Yuki reported, reviewing data on her tablet. 87% of member species have already begun converting their offensive weapons platforms to adaptive defense systems. And the holdouts? Marcus asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Coming around quickly, Yuki replied with a slight smile. It's amazing how persuasive the combination of carrot and stick can be, especially when the stick is having your most powerful weapons turned into defensive infrastructure. A flash of light through the window drew their attention. A new ship was emerging from the quantum gate, its design unlike anything seen before. It represented the first joint venture between human engineers and a consortium of alien species, a vessel built not for war, but for exploration and emergency response. The PSF Hope, Sarah announced, pride evident in her voice. The first of the protected space service fleet. Already have requests from 15 systems for similar ships. Zorax's form rippled with appreciation. A vessel that can transform hostile forces into defensive energy, protect civilian populations from natural disasters, and facilitate peaceful exploration. Who would have thought such a thing possible 2 years ago? Humanity has always been good at imagining the impossible, Marcus replied. The trick was getting everyone else to imagine it too. The station's sensors registered a spike in quantum activity as the Hope tested its defensive systems. Instead of the traditional shields or weapons, the ship was equipped with scaled-down versions of the technology that had protected Earth. It could absorb and redirect energy, create stable fields for rescue operations, and even help establish defensive networks for developing civilizations. We're receiving the first long-range survey reports, Yuki noted, accessing the incoming data. The Boundary Defense Network is already showing results. Piracy down 60% in protected sectors. Territorial disputes dropping as species realize the futility of offensive warfare against adaptive defense systems. Sarah watched as a group of alien scientists hurried past, deep in discussion about some new application of quantum field theory. The station had become exactly what they'd hoped, a place where different species could come together to build something better than weapons. You know, she said thoughtfully, when we first developed this technology, some worried we were making ourselves vulnerable by sharing it. They thought we should keep it as leverage. Those same people probably thought turning our whole solar system into a defensive web was crazy. Marcus chuckled. Sometimes the best way to protect yourself is to protect everyone. Through the window, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, now encircled by an invisible network of quantum fields and defense platforms. But unlike traditional military installations, these were designed to preserve and protect, not to destroy. They were humanity's gift to the galaxy, a way to ensure that technological advancement led to security rather than ever-escalating conflicts. The next generation of upgrades is ready for testing, Zorax announced. The combined research teams have found ways to make the fields even more efficient. Soon, we may be able to extend protected status to every inhabited system in known space. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity had taken its first steps into space expecting to find war and conquest. Instead, they had found an opportunity to change the very nature of power in the galaxy. Their warships, once deemed too powerful, had evolved into something far more important, the foundations of lasting peace. "Send word to begin the upgrades," she ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy that the most powerful force isn't the one that can destroy the most, but the one that can protect the best."